I think if you live each day with, wanting to treat people with kindness, putting other people before yourself and what can you do for other people rather than looking internally into yourself, then I think you're on a right track. And that comes into business massively as well. If you are putting your clients, and this is whatever business you're in, if you're putting your clients, your end users, your customers first, then all of your decisions are going to be guided by that. And that is going to set you up for success, because all of a sudden, if you just hone in on revenue and profitability, and then it's going to lead you down the wrong path. Put other people first, put your customer first, put, your family, your friends, etc. Try and do a bit for someone else, and it will help you in the long run.
Great to welcome Fran to the Business Takeaway podcast. Thank you very much for coming and joining us this afternoon. Before we get too much into it, do you want to give a bit of introduction to you, who you are, and a bit of your background and why you're here?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way really to describe my journey to where I've ended up to is certainly kind of non-linear, I'll say the very least. So my position at the moment is the commercial director for Mondial Technology Media, and we produce multiple magazines for the live events industry. So what we do is we cover the technology that goes into live events. We also cover technology that goes into, your favorite venues around the world, whether it be concert halls, stadiums, all the way to houses of worship as well. So we're very much focused on, the kit and the technology that kind of keeps everything up and running, really. How did I find myself here? Well, that's a really, really good story, and I'm not quite sure how long we have got. But so I was an academic kid at school, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really enjoyed learning, etc. But I always had a very creative streak to me. Didn't do uni. That was just not a course that I ever wanted to go into. My mum and I went on a cruise for my 18th birthday, and I thought, do you know what? I really love this travel life. This is just really a bit of me. And I came away from that, and I actually wanted to work in the spa on the cruise liners. So when I got back, I did all of my courses. I went and did a private course, did my international qualifications, and at 19 went and joined the cruise liners, working in the spa. Very fast forward, ended up getting medically disembarked. I was a little bit poorly, so I came back and just didn't really know what to do with my life. Felt a little bit lost, I think, like a lot of people can do in the early 20s, and wasn't really sure on what sort of direction I wanted to take. So I started working in retail. It's still in the beauty industry, so still doing, part of what I was trained to do. And went travelling, did that for quite a while. Found myself in Australia, was a nanny. I worked in bars, I worked in restaurants. I was a fruit picker on a farm. I worked in a mechanics workshop as a coordinator, which is wildly different to anything I'm doing now.
I'm still waiting to see how we get to where you are
to
now.
Where I am now.
This is so far. No, it's fine. It's just so far away from the journey of most of us.
It's so far away. I think the top and bottom, I've always been a people person. I've always worked with people, whether that be in the restaurants, whether that be in retail, whether that be looking after kids who, were very challenging. It's probably the reason I don't have children now. And when I got back from Australia, I went back into retail, wasn't loving it. And basically I found a job ad, which was for a junior account manager at a publishing company. And I had no idea about publishing. I had no idea about marketing. I had no idea about the live events industry or the install industry. But it said global travel. And that's something that's always been a huge passion of mine. And I just thought, do you know what? I've given my hand to so many different things already now. It was a bit of a, how hard can it be? Let's just go for it. and I did, and found myself working here. That was pre-COVID. Post-COVID, I came back and joined, and that's when I have started this kind of latter end of my career and worked myself up from a junior account manager to senior account manager, and now sat as commercial director across our group. So, yeah.
I think one of the interesting things about doing this podcast, right, is that I'm interviewing people who I know, or I know quite well, or we meet at trade shows, we talk about those bits through the year,
Yeah.
and then you have this interview, and it's like, I had no idea. Do you know what I mean? Which is great.
Yeah.
But you're finding people who come to this as really random ways or fall into it. You know, I mean, I started the traditional route, but yours not, right?
Yeah, and I think everyone, we meet a lot of people in the live events industry and in our roles, and it almost feels like such a common denominator for the people that have found themselves in the industry is that they just fell into it. And I always come back to, well, why do you work in it, or why have you stayed here so long? And it always comes down to, well, I'm passionate, I love it. We all complain about it. People complain about the hours, we complain about the amount of work. Who doesn't? But ultimately, it comes down to the fact that they're so passionate about it and they love it. And I'm one of the same. I absolutely love the community. I love the industry. I love my colleagues, and I love what we work on as well. It's the magazines are fantastic. And we also run, multiple international worldwide events as well. So yeah, it's exciting. And I think that's what keeps you going, really.
It's not a dull industry, that's for sure. On that side.
Definitely not.
So you talk about the magazines, right?
Yes.
We are now, so 20 years ago, we were talking about this in the office the other day about launching a new product, right? 20, 30 years ago, you had to launch at a trade show because you were, and this goes for any industry, our industry or whatever industry, because you had to be there, you had to be in front of people. Now, we do everything on a social media, we do a live stream, whatever we're doing. How is the magazine and the print world, how are you finding that's changing? Especially after, I mean, you had a little bit before COVID, post-COVID, but how are you finding that's changing and how are you having to adapt on that?
Yeah. The thing with any kind of content that you are looking at, digital and print exist together. I think when you are in a business to business world, which we are, that's where our magazines operate, there will always be a need for the print magazines. Our clients, the industry, loves reading those magazines. Ultimately, we're not breaking news. We're not a headline news story. We do deep dives into productions, deep dives into venues, and that's not something that people read across 30 seconds of scrolling, or 2 minutes. That's people take the time to sit down and read them. I think for our clients, they love having something tangible. They love seeing the magazines arrive. They're very, very good quality. They look incredible. We get great images, which is really, really important. But that being said, you also need to go to where people are, and particularly in the touring industry, if you've got someone who's out on tour, they're not going to be carrying 17 magazines around with them. So you have to hit that digital element of it as well. Certainly coming out of COVID, a lot of people were saying print's dead, it's not going to come back, everything's going digital now. And we did see a little bit of that. We saw some clients that, halted print advertising, some clients who said, that's it, we're just going purely digital for a multitude of reasons, whether it be down sustainability or whether it be just because that's where they felt the era was going. We've definitely seen a shift in that and a change in that and a big resurgence of print. And I can't speak for the wider printing industry, but certainly business to business, I think ours is in a really, really strong position. And I'd say I don't think it's been stronger in terms of our level of content and how much people really love the magazines. I think we see that all of the time with the trade shows and when we're visiting clients. So yeah, I think they have to coexist. They have to, and you have to be adaptable as the person that's providing the content to be able to go to what people want and go to what people need. So yeah, we will for the foreseeable anyway, we will absolutely certainly be doing print and digital for sure.
I mean, I can't swing my camera around, but I have a selection of previous magazines, of your magazines and other magazines that come in the industry, and they are useful, say, occasionally to look back on, right?
Yeah,
And the content is a very different. As you said, it's not there's the news bit, but I skim over that. It's the articles that I read, which is more interesting.
absolutely. And we partner as well with, it's not just there to share knowledge about what has been used on the latest tours or in the latest
Mm,
venues. It's also there to inspire people as well. We have a lot of students, technical colleges, universities that all subscribe to the magazines and use them as training tools for the students coming through. Have a look at what the latest people are doing, have a look at the latest innovations. And that's the kind of information that we are a hub for. So I think you have to look at it in multitude of different ways. And, if people are inspired by what they see and what they read, personally, I, for one, with what we cover throughout the year, we run an event called the TPI Awards, which I know you know, but for anyone else who doesn't, is one of the biggest live events in the live events industry for our business to business side, our corporate side. And we award all the crew that go and work extremely hard behind all of the live events that happen throughout the year.
yeah.
My part to play in all of that is running that event and also specifying what I want that to look like, what I want that design to look like. And I take all of that inspiration from the events that we cover. I take it from the gigs that I go to, I take it from the stories and the conversations that are had within the office. So I use our own content as inspiration as well. And I think, as long as that's what we're doing and we're providing something that can inspire people and pushes the industry forward, then I think we're onto a good thing.
And you touched on it as well about the events. Obviously, the TPI Awards are the big. We were talking offline about how big it's now gone to. But
Yeah.
you talk about the other events and the other things you're now running. Has that been a need? Sort of like going, the industry is asking, and people are asking for more and different ways to take in content and take in the
Yeah.
experience of the industry.
Yeah, definitely. So when I started 5 years ago, and I'll say 5 years ago rather than pre-COVID, because that's really the era that I'm now in.
Yeah.
We had 3 awards events. We had the TPI Awards, which is for the live events in London. We had the Mondial Awards, which is fixed installation side, so for technology there. That happened in America. And we also had one for the Middle East. We now run 5 awards events globally. So we've got one in Saudi Arabia as well, which is a huge emerging market and really, really pushes the boundaries when it comes to what can be achieved in live events, what can be achieved in installations as well. So we have a technology awards out there. We also run the UK Festival Awards, which happens in Manchester, which is great because it's on our home turf, so not too far to travel. And since the conversations that we've had around all of these multitude of events, a few years ago we launched something called GTL Sessions, which is what brings tour managers to tour service suppliers. There isn't an event that exists solely for that in the industry at the moment. Tour managers didn't really have a place to call home and call their own. The trade shows are for technicians, they're for production managers, they are there for designers, and also obviously for the companies that will then buy and purchase and rent. GTL Sessions is different. It brings the tour managers all together. Tour management as a role is a very isolatory role. There's only really ever one tour manager that goes out on tour with an artist. And they don't really get to see each other or meet each other. There's not many meetups that happen. So we had a conversation with a few hoteliers at the TPI Awards and why they felt it really important to attend. And it was to see their end users, to see their end clients that they don't often get that FaceTime with. So myself and Stu Hume, who's our managing editor of TPI, had this idea of whisking everyone off to a lovely island, whether it be Mykonos, we've had it in the past couple of years, we're going to Malaga this year, we've got Cancun in September, and we create a place where they can call home, where they can look and listen to content and be involved in content and talk to each other and find suppliers and really it's all about relationships and connections. And the feedback we've had from those events has been absolutely phenomenal, to the point where we launched Americas this year. So yeah, now that pushes us to 7 events, and we seem to be nearly running out of months.
Couple of months off for good behaviour, right?
Yeah. It'll all change soon.
But I think it's interesting because, in your world, 20 years ago or 15 years ago, you'd produce a magazine and that would have been it, right? So the demand on you as a publisher and other publishers, you've got to respond to our industry because you're a B2B business, or you survive on our B2B business. So
Yeah.
it must be an interesting challenge to adapt as coming out of COVID, the industry changed. You've had to adapt to that, right? That's been quite challenging.
Definitely. I think at the core of this is people want to be awarded and recognised for their work. No matter what industry you're in, it's always good to have recognition. It's always nice to have recognition. So from where the awards were, I mean, Mondial has been going for 40 years now with the magazines. Our first magazine's nearly 40 years old. And the TPI Awards itself this year turns 25 years. So this isn't necessarily a new thing coming out of COVID, but is something that has grown and grown over the years. And that want for recognition, or that appreciation of your role, I don't think will ever leave us. I think that's something that people, humanity as a whole, love to. It's nice to have feedback. It's nice to feel appreciated. It's nice to know that your work has meant something. So I think that is why the awards have grown to where they have, and why people ask for us to do more. I mean, I think I have a full inbox of, can we add this category? Can we add this category? Can we add this category? And as you well know, we are probably at the max of where we can get the categories without launching a whole new event. So that's where we end up finding ourselves is how do we cater for these people? If we can't fit it into an already pre-existing format, what can we do to create it? And a huge part of our work and what we do here is to get feedback, is to listen to people's feedback. It's, again, comes back to that, why do we do this? Well, we do it because we're passionate. We do it because we're passionate about the industry, and we want people to feel like they're being heard. So they come to us and they'll say, this is a great idea, or we want to do this, we'd love you to do that. And we'll look at a way to facilitate that. We'll never say no to something straight away until we've figured out how we can make it happen. Possibly to our detriment at times, but and this is how we end up with only a couple of months off a year.
Yeah, but that's this industry. I've done plenty of shows where I've gone, I don't quite know how we're going to do it. Oh, we'll do it anyway. We'll find a way. Do you know what I mean? You just end up doing it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But we're talking about how the industry changed. Like, I've hopefully got Hannah Eakins from Production Futures coming up on an episode.
Absolutely.
Or I don't know within time whether it's happened to previous or post this, but it's interesting how the world and industry is changing and taking in stuff, right? So you've got 20 years ago, 15 years ago, social media didn't exist, so you didn't publicise. Now every light designer has their own Instagram channel. You've got likes of Elliot Baines, TPI Young Award winner, who's doing his own content streaming. I joined a streaming session in COVID. I had no idea what the hell I was doing, and things like this. So it's how are you having to adapt your content? You must be having to adapt what you're doing and pushing out, and what you're doing with that as well, surely.
Yes and no. I think I do think social media plays a huge part in this, and there is part of how we promote our events and how we showcase what we do definitely does come into play with social media. With that, there's an element of this where, as a business, as an individual creative and as a business, it's very, very different. I think as an individual creative, of course you want to showcase the work that you're doing, and social media is a great way to do that. It's a great way to get the likes and to get the views and to have people engage with your content. When it comes to the B2B side of things, I have a very different take on it, because we have a very targeted audience as a B2B publication. So if you are trying to sell your products or promote your products, that's where being aligned with a B2B organisation is much better. A B2B publication, is much better, because are the people that are buying your products on social media? Are they the ones that are watching the social media from the big companies and saying, well, that's how we're then going to base our purchasing power on a social media video? Personally, I'm not 100% sure. I think it does go a long way into supporting it, yes. But I don't think that that's where our industry is at. So for us, promoting our content is great, but we don't write our content for the fans. We don't write our content for the artists. We write it for the commercial industry, for the business industry, and that for us is where newsletters and the print magazines, that's where our strengths lie, is sending that out to our subscribers, sending that out to our distribution network as well. They're very, very different. And I think, again, it comes back to that digital print scenario. They have to go hand in hand. They have to support each other. You have to be where people are and where they're engaging with content. But when it comes specifically to the commercial side of the business, and that is, why do people advertise? What are they hoping to gain? Eventually, it's lead generation. We could go on for days about ROI, and it's one of the buzzwords. Well, what's the return on investment? My answer to that always is return on investment is subjective.
Yeah.
What does return on investment mean to you? Does it mean lead generation? Does it mean eyes on the content? Does it mean sales? It's a different thing to every person that we speak to. So you have to go where people are, but you also need to understand what you're wanting to get out of it. And I think sometimes you can be a bit guilty of churning out content just to churn out content, and you lose well, who are we doing this for, and why are we doing it, and who are we hoping to engage with at the end of it? Having huge numbers and huge followers is great, but if they're not the right people, then you're not hitting the right mark anyway. That's my take on it.
No, it's interesting because we did some stuff internally, and you looked at the amount of followers, and we shouted about the amount of followers, and I go, well, that's great. And then personally, I think, well, my parents both follow the brand I work for at a certain time, but they're never going to go and buy a light. So what good is that follower? I mean, they look out for stuff and all that, but yeah, you've got to target it right, and that ROI piece must be hard. You're putting money to you as a magazine. It must be hard to send. Because what are you as a brand expecting back for that?
Absolutely.
I can't get a sales lead from a paper magazine or print magazine. I can't get a sales lead from that, but I know I need to do that. It's hard to not justify it because you do it, but do you know what I mean? It's a difficult place to be because it's not a direct. It's not like I can click on something on Instagram, follow email, track that through, and go, that came from that lead. There we go. I can't do that.
Yeah. And that's certainly not how we sell it either. And that's why I always find the conversation around ROI really, really important. But with marketing, with advertising, comes the brand recognition. It comes the repetition. It comes even if from an advert you have someone that stops and goes, didn't know they did that. Or, that's interesting. They've launched a new product. That might not cause them to call up the phone straight away and say, I want to order 100 of these fixtures. But in a year's time or in 6 months' time, they might be thinking, well, I want to specify for X tour or X project. And it's that recognition of seeing the advert, seeing the brand multiple times over that does help. And that in itself is a level of ROI. The other side of that is also being connected to a global publication, and a publication that a lot of people read, a lot of people respect, and there's an element of that to it as well. So again, it's different takes that you can take away from it, really.
Yeah, isn't it? I can't remember the stats, but it's like you've got to have any part of your life. You've got to have a certain amount of touch points with the product before you feel confident to buy.
Yeah.
7. I knew
7.
you'd know those. 7 touch points.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, yeah, go on.
So there was a university study that said you need to have 7 interactions with a brand before you'll make a decision to buy. Delving deeper into that, it should be 7 different types of interaction. So this is where digital, print, personalized emailers will come into it as well. It's also where you cannot repeat the same artwork or the same advert over and over and over again. People will stop seeing it. It's like when you're shopping, Christmas shopping, and you've got the Christmas music going, and eventually you just stop listening to it because you're hearing the same songs over and
Yeah.
over and over again. It's the same with advertising. You have to change it up. You have to look at again, and I'll probably say it another 15 times whilst we're having this conversation. But again, it's who are you trying to connect with? Who are you wanting to see it? And why are you wanting them to see it? And what are you hoping that they will feel or take away from that connection? Each view on an advert, each view on a social post or on an emailer, every single person will have a different interaction with that post. So you have to hit a really broad spectrum in one go, but you also need to be really aligned and targeted with what it is that you're wanting to achieve from it. But yeah, 7 interactions and across ideally 7 different ways. So that's my rule of thumb.
No, it's great because I think back to the Instagram ads for clothes that I get. I get the same brand all the time, and I ignore it for about 5 or 6 times, and then probably about the 7th time.
Yeah.
But the point you say on that, on the interesting point, was it has to be different. So is there study? You're going to know this because you'll have sold it probably to me at some point. But are there studies that will say, right, the advert needs to be, if I've got product X, it doesn't be a light, it could be a speaker, it can be whatever it is, but it needs to stay within a context of a family. Or if you go and do one campaign that's way different from another one, do people lose that context, or do you not?
It depends. If you're talking about a whole campaign, your campaigns can be wildly different because it depends what you're promoting and what you're working on. If you are within the same campaign, you want it to be relatable. So you want people to make the connection. And if you're not going to use the same strapline over and over again or the same tagline over and over again, then you need to still have some sort of connection to, the first post to the end post.
Yeah.
Marketing, and I'm sure you will have heard this line from me, but marketing is a journey. You have to take your clients and your end users on that journey. So where are you starting it from? Where are you ending? If you are launching a new product, your first one is introducing the product. This is what we have. This is what it does. Then let's look at a user case for it. So that might be in the form of an article. Let's talk about somebody who's using it and how that application then works. Then you push them into another direction. Okay, now we're talking about longevity. We are a year in now for this new product to have been launched. Where has it been? What's it been used on? How is all of that success then measured? So you're taking everybody that has connected them with your brand on that journey going forward. And I think that's something where I don't think enough brands in general understand or implement into their marketing strategies. I think a lot of it, as I mentioned, is churning out content for churning out content. And rather than looking at the whole process of, okay, we're going to start here, but what's the overall goal? What is the end game? Where are we looking to get that to be? And that, again, takes form in a multitude of different ways.
You got me thinking about all our brand stuff now. That's like, my mind. You lost me there. It's like, whatever.
Habit of doing that.
It's like that little British skit. Look into my eyes. It's like, you've got me cursed now. So we were talking about events. You produced one of the industry's bigger events. You must have faced some interesting challenges doing those events. There's probably some stories you can't tell. There's probably some stories you can tell, but of your challenges you face, that there's the industry event, or there's print, getting stuff to print deadline. I mean, you're not so time sensitive on print deadlines. So if it slips a day, I'm sure that's not as crucial. But the event side, what's the biggest challenges you faced in that event? 2,000 people, as we were saying, in one room for one night.
Yes, it's a challenge is definitely the right term to use it. It's for me, coming into this 5 years ago. So you mentioned Hannah Eakins earlier. Hannah Eakins was my predecessor in this role, and coming out of COVID, there was a huge crew shortage within this industry. Hannah stepped forward with Production Futures and has honestly taken it to an entirely new level. It's absolutely incredible what she's achieved. For anyone who is interested in a career in live events, Production Futures is something that you need to be looking at. It's more than a careers fair, it's a community.
Yep.
Hannah stepped away and took that on and has done absolutely incredible. They were big shoes to fill anyway. They were even bigger shoes to fill for somebody who'd only worked in the industry for 6 months, who, was still learning what lighting fixtures were and what an audio desk was, and and it was a lot of pressure. There is a lot of pressure in this industry anyway. It's a live event for people who run live events every single day, and the imposter syndrome is wild. It's still wild 5 years in, and I'm glad for it because it keeps me on my toes and it shows that I really care. I think a bit of imposter syndrome is very, very good. The challenges, however, for live events people who always complain about deadlines and getting things on time and being organised and having plans, can be some of the most unorganised people.
We're used to organising for everyone else. We're just not used to organising for ourselves.
For yourselves, yeah.
That's the problem. Right?
Yeah, definitely. So it's keeping on top of everything. It's it's a lot of people, top and bottom. It's a lot of people to manage. It's understanding the journey of every single person that walks through those doors. Are they all having the same experience? Are they all having a great experience? Are they happy? Are they going to, again, what are they going to feel when they walk in through the doors? What do people feel when they turn up to the TPI Awards? Are they excited? What then happens when they come through the doors? There's so much care and consideration genuinely that goes into the whole event. And the challenge is that we want to push it every year. There's an innovation side of that is we change the theme every year. So what is the theme going to be? How are we going to incorporate that into the stage design? How do we incorporate that into, again, that experience when you walk through the doors? Do you feel immersed in it? And that's a challenge that will hit us every year. We have an incredible team and crew that work on that event. They are so dedicated, and it's possibly one of the toughest gigs that they will do throughout the year. It's in front of all of their peers, and it's in front of everyone who will sit there and judge whether that pixel is missing on the screen, or whether that light is out of time, or if the audio can be heard at the back of the room. That is the nature of the industry, and you have to step up to that, and it takes a lot of courage to be able to pull off that event. And for myself and our team, I think I'm not going to say easier, it's definitely a challenge, but because that's not a room full of my peers. I run that event as almost an external person. So I have a completely different set of eyes on it as to what everyone else does. And I think that makes it a little bit easier for me to be quite strict and strategic about how we run it and what we're doing and everything else. Whereas everyone else can get a little bit more. There's some egos in this industry, and I'll say that in the nicest way. There are, and for good reason as well. People have worked in this industry for a long, long time. They've achieved a lot in their life and their lifespan of the industry. And it's probably my biggest challenge is just tying it back and knowing that everyone is coming in to work on this for the greater good, for the greater of the industry. But tying it back to the event is bigger than any one of us. It's bigger than me. It's existed, way before I joined the industry, and it will I hope it will continue to exist afterwards. So everything we do, we can't have anyone that pushes themselves at a forefront beyond anybody else. It has to be done very, 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 very equally. And it's a very interesting time for me because it's the one time of, well, one of the 7 times of the year that I am also the client, whilst also my clients are my clients. So I'm their client and they're my client for the night. So I'm making sure that they're okay, they're making sure that I'm okay and happy with everything. It's it's a very, very fine line to tread and it's very, very delicate. I'm very
Yeah.
grateful that I've built really, really strong relationships with all of our suppliers, with everyone that works on it. And again, it comes down to supporting each other. Do you have everything you need? Yes. Do you have everything you need? Yes. Are you happy? Yes. Are you happy? Yes. Great. It's a bit like a marriage. I'm not married, but I'm assuming it's a little bit like a marriage. When you put the other person first, everything gets a little bit easier because you're not trying to be selfish about it. And I think
Yeah.
that's why it works so well, and that's why we've got incredible people that work on it because nobody's selfish. No one's selfish with their time. No one's selfish with their own opinions in pushing and saying this is exactly how this needs to be, or that's it. We all look at ways in which we can collaborate together and to make it to be the best night possible. And that's how we've ended up with nearly 2,000 people in the room.
But you talk about your personal imposter syndrome. Surely, when the lights go down, which is the same for any show, right? But the lights go down, and you see 2,000 people enjoying themselves, and you go, "Well, it's not just you." But because I know you would say that it's a big team, everything.
Yeah.
But you must go, "Yeah, I did that." Do you know what I mean? Do you not get that? That imposter syndrome must be hard to wrestle with at times, isn't it?
I get really emotional actually. I'm not an always emotional person. I can be quite in charge of my emotions. But when we get into that room and we start the awards with Absent Friends, which is a homage to everyone that we've lost within the industry over the past year. It silences and equally humbles the room as it should do. And at that point, it's that moment where I look out at the room and I see how many people are sat there. And I've had this conversation with my CEO and with multiple people within the industry as well. There's always something that goes through everybody's mind in that room whilst that's going on, and it's, gosh, one day it's going to be my picture up there, and it's something that just it makes me so emotional every time, and I just think, wow, we've got to here, and yeah, it doesn't ever sort of I never sit there and go, do you know what? Nailed that. That was, the perfect thing. And I will say it and I'll have that bit of bravado, but I am my biggest critic and I'll be the one that sits there and says, actually, next year I need to do this, next year we need to do that. I almost start planning on the next year before we've even finished, before I've walked out of Evolution in London on the very, very early hours of the next day. And I'm already thinking about ways in which we can make it better, which ways which we can improve it. And we stand at the back of the room once Absent Friends has had its moment, and we open that opening VT, the opening video that launches the awards, and I see everybody with their phones out, and I see everyone get so excited, and that does give me that bit of wow, this is what I imagined has come to life. And I think also some people can maybe think that there is a huge, huge team that works, in the groundwork of this. And it's really not. There's 3 of us in this office who will come up with the concept. I will bless our production manager, Ryan from Go to Live. I draw on a scrap of paper, this looks like a great stage design. This is kind of how I'm imagining it. And I'll send him a WhatsApp picture, which is probably how most of it's done always, I think. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I want to create this. It's a bit wild, it's a bit wacky, but that's what we want to do. And I think that moment when we stand in that room and I kind of go, wow, There's that scrap of paper.
You sort of
Look
want
at
to
what we've been doing.
you want the picture to like, oh, that looks about right, doesn't it? So
Yeah, and I think that is, it does give me a lot of joy, but I still stand there and I think, we're awarding set designers and stage designers and production managers and people who have worked so long in this industry, and I always sit there and go, God, who's let me draw on a scrap of paper and say this is what I want for this event? It's like, I don't have any qualifications, I don't have any experience, but year on year, I'm getting a little bit more experience. So we're 5 years in now, and it's another notch to tick off.
you should be nominated for the Set Design of the Year award.
I don't think so. I don't think I could ever put myself up in that category. I mean,
But
there's
I
some
think
incredible people, but
there are. I mean, I think talking to a lot of people in this industry, though, everyone has that. You know, most times you go and do a gig or do something you've never done before, right? And that's how we've all
yeah,
progressed. We've all gone and learned something new. I've done small shows, and then you walk up to the bigger show and go, "Oh, this is a bit big. Okay, how do I do this?"
yeah.
The Olympics has just been on. The guy who lit at Bruno Poet, I don't think has lit an Olympic ceremony. There's not many people who have lit Olympic opening ceremonies, right? So
Yeah,
you have to go and do your first Olympics or your first DPI at some point,
absolutely.
and it's how you sink or swim, right?
Absolutely, and I think I will tie back to it again, but it's about who you're doing it for. I am so passionate about all of the people that are in that room. I see how much that nomination means to every single one of our shortlisters when they post it on social media, when they message us, and how much it can also further people's careers as well. And I think, gosh, if I can play just a really small part in that, in giving them the best night to celebrate them, then I'm happy. That makes me really, really proud, because again, no qualifications there, but then they're not needed. You just need to be passionate. You just need to be excited about it. And again, who are you doing it for? Well, I'm doing it for all 1,956 people that are in that room, so that they have an incredible night and they walk out of there and go, "Wow, best one yet." And that to me is absolutely everything. And yeah, and then I go, great, how do we make it bigger and better? What's next?
As we've talked about, not 2,000, not over 2,000 people, right? That's your biggest challenge.
Yeah.
We talked a bit about sort of how technology changed, how the big word on AI. God, I hate talking about it, but where are you seeing AI is going in the market? Where do you think it's going in the marketing world? Our world of B2B is a very different marketing world to the consumer marketing. Where are you seeing it? What are you being talked about to it?
We are certainly seeing more AI created adverts. So that's definitely started coming in now. And I I sit on the fence with AI. I feel like I'm a bit of an analog person myself, so I still like a notepad and pen. I still like to write a list. But when it comes to AI, I think when it's in terms of workflow and easing the level of and volume of work that you have, brilliant. I think it's an excellent tool. But I also exist in a very creative industry, and when I don't think that you can replace the real world and the real life experience of a creative, whether that be a recording artist, because we're seeing AI music come through now, whether that be in artwork creation, whether that be in press releases and story writing. I don't think that you can emulate that real world experience of the person that is writing that. Every single creative in the world puts a piece of themselves into what they create, whether that be just their perspective on a story, whether that be, that something that they've seen and experienced that has then influenced them to create something else. So I think that's where I would like to draw the line with AI. I think that it shouldn't be there to go instead of a creative person. I couldn't ever imagine us replacing an editorial team by just writing into AI and saying, create me an article that explains X, Y, and Z. That's personally where I sit on it. However, for workflow, for easing personal life, for easing work life, I do think the tools are fantastic. But as I say, we're seeing more and more of it. I will say that we can tell when we get a press release that's been written with AI. It's generally the one that takes a little bit more tweaking to make it sound a bit more human. But yeah, I think there's a place for it, used respectively, respectfully, sorry. And yeah, I'm interested to see how it keeps evolving. I think that a lot of people jumped on a lot of AI hypes and trends, and yeah, I'm sort of interested to see it hopefully calm down a little bit. I'm not sure that it ever really will, but yeah, I think I like to think that we protect the kind of creative side of publication, of content creation, and of artists as well, because that's what keeps us all in business. So
Yeah, I was at dinner last night with some colleagues, and we were talking from the audio side and going, what could we get AI to do? And we actually went, apart from, you can't get AI to rig speakers, you can't get AI to tip a truck. That's
nope.
fine. But actually, we went, everything else could be doable by AI. You could get something to EQ a system, it could process it. You could get it to mix a show if it knew the content. Do you know what I mean? And it's actually become scary. But as you said, we're a creative industry, so you don't want to do people out. We as a manufacturer,
Yeah.
not speaking of manufacturer, but we as manufacturers. I talked to somebody at ISE last week, big trade show, industry lighting, audio, video trade show, who said, we as a manufacturer, I won't name who they were, could replace most of the creatives in their system flow. But they said we'd be like turkeys voting for Christmas. Do you know what I mean? It just wouldn't happen. So it's an interesting where we have to monitor it.
Yeah, but then you've got you can put in as many processes as you want, and workflow situations. If this happens, then this is how you need to react as AI. But you can only do that if we already know about those problems. That's where you can't replace people. If you have a situation that arises and you've never experienced it before, you can't problem solve that with AI without also having a human there to say, well, here's the variables, or here is the potential outcomes if you go down this path or if you go down that path. AI might be able to spit out several options, but you also need that real world experience in there. I think anyway, I know for a fact that with things that happen here, if we didn't have the personal touch on the end of it, or the person that then brainstorms or collaborates with other people, it's the other minds as well. If you're going into AI, is it not just one singular mind? So where do we have somebody else's opinion in that? Where do we have someone else's thought process? Because we all think differently, and AI can't think the same as every single person in the world.
That's a very deep answer for this point in the podcast. But no, I completely. No.
Do you know? It came to me as you were saying, but I was thinking about how we, come up with solutions and how we come up with issues. And I'll relate this back to the TPI Awards. Actually, if we have an issue at the TPI Awards, our production manager will come to me and will talk me through what the issue is. And it's not because I have the expert opinion on how it needs to be fixed. It's because I can sit there and say, okay, who does this affect? Does this affect any of my key sponsors? Does this affect any of our key partners? How does this affect the people in the room? And that's where my knowledge and my expertise sit within that decision-making process of how we then continue. That's not, AI can't replace that for me, because they don't know, it wouldn't know how I know my sponsor would react, or how I know my client would react. It can't replicate that. So hopefully, anyway, I'm trying to really make sure that my job isn't about to get taken over by AI.
No, but you're right.
My CEO's listening.
She still needs a job. No, but I think you've got a valid point. You think of you think there's a problem in that room, you go, I don't know how many people in that room but you'd know perhaps 300, 400 well, and perhaps you'd know a few hundred more. You might know more, I don't know. But you turn around and go, if we did this, you would perhaps think through of those guests, you would get a picture of who that guest might be, whichever company, and go, they perhaps wouldn't like that. Do you know what I mean? And that is yours, right? AI can't, at the moment, I'm going to say at the moment, but AI doesn't know that. AI can only process. And I do this thing occasionally with ChatGPT. I say, tell me what you know about me. And it knows a hell of a lot, but there's other things it's way off. It doesn't even understand. It's summarized or thought, but it can't even summarize for 2,000 people.
Yeah. And it can suggest how you might react to something, but the whole point of who we are as humans, we are the biggest variable there is. Nobody can predict exactly how somebody is going to react. And no matter how many algorithms or how much information you want to feed into AI, a human decision at the end of the day is a human decision. And that can be based on a million and one things that we've not even considered. So, yeah, that's. We've got very deep for 3:00 on a Thursday afternoon.
This afternoon. No, we have. But it's really interesting, and just interesting getting different people's perception, because there's somebody else who I'm talking about coming on, and we're just literally going to talk about AI and leadership. And he's got a very big, sort of very similar view. And it's just really interesting how much somebody uses it or doesn't. I've also interviewed somebody else, and he basically has built his business on AI and AI tools to help him deliver his business. And you go, okay, fine. So everyone's got a different view, and it's where you're coming from. If you're coming to the creative side, everyone hates it. It's really interesting.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. We're a couple of weeks away from the awards. What's keeping you up at night at this moment in time with the awards?
The awards.
Or what's keeping you the awards? Just the whole thing.
Just the awards. That's a really good question. The way in which I cope with what keeps me up at night, which is probably the easiest way of doing it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Is I will wake up, I will send Alice, who's our event manager, an email so that it doesn't ping on her phone. It's something that she'll wake up to the next day. And I'll write a list of absolutely everything that is on my mind. And it'll just be a brain dump of things that we either haven't considered or things that we need to do, and that's basically how I kind of manage it. I definitely cannot sleep through a night without something waking me up at 3:00 in the morning. And that's just what it comes to, also being the person responsible for that event. When it comes down to it, yes, my company is of course responsible for the event, but I am the one that ultimately makes a lot of those decisions, and a lot of those decisions I will hold the responsibility to. I answer to our CEO, I answer to our managing director, but there's a lot of things that they don't know is even happening at the awards until they get there, because it's a surprise for them as well. And that in itself is it's a lot of responsibility to take on. So just in general, that tends to keep me up quite a lot at night. But yeah, it's
and are you able to switch? Are you able to switch off at the moment, or is it just 3:00 in the morning, bang, wide awake?
Yeah, it is mostly 3:00 in the morning, bang, wide awake. We get to this stage when I think we're probably about 11 days out now. There's a lot of nitty gritty things to do. It's a lot of guest list management. It's a lot of, right the way down to, we go through every single person that is in that room. We go through their dietary requirements. We go and make sure their emails are correct so they get their tickets. We make sure that their company name that's listed is stylized correctly. You'd be amazed how many people do not stylize their own company names correctly. Yeah. So we'll stylize all of those. We make sure that their names are spelled correctly. It's really, really intricate things, and again, nitty gritty things that just takes a lot of time. So we tend to do late nights when it gets to this stage, and it's purely because the amount of emails that we get coming in, guest list changes, during the day, it's almost too reactive to try and do anything. So we end up spending a bit of time on an evening where we will knuckle down we get through a huge bulk of data sorting and checking and signing off proofs for artwork and checks and content checks. And then, yeah, we hopefully go to bed, sleep a little bit, maybe wake up in the middle of the night, send another brain dump of things that need to be done the next day, and then we run again. And that's pretty much me for the next 2 weeks. Well, not just me, myself, Charlie, and Alice. So yeah.
But you talked about you talked about earlier about AI making decisions for you. You can ask it to make the decision on the day. How do you decide, like, on what? How is it your gut that's told you to do the right thing there? You know, you talked about what you need to do for this customer or this customer. How do you go about is it just instinct? You've done it for 5 years. You know that you just need to do this. Is that how you go about it? Or do you process it, or do you try and calculate it? Are you more calculating what you're trying to do?
That's a really good question. Firstly, although I've been doing it for 5 years is certainly not a long time in this industry. There's people that have been in here for their entire lives. So I'm still very much classified as in my infancy of my career, I would say. A lot of it is based on gut, I think. It's a combination. What does the gut tell you? What do the calculations tell you? Are they aligned? Have you considered all, potential fallout from a decision that you make or potential implications of a decision that you make? A lot of it, again, is based on gut. And more than that as well, I think I don't know, I feel like I sound a bit of a broken record, but again, it's pulling it back to who are we doing it for? What would somebody in the room who has way more experience than I do in this, what would they pick at? And can I get ahead of that with a decision that I make? Can I almost eliminate that with a decision that I make today rather than then have that come back on me after the awards or at the awards? And, and it also comes back to a lot of feedback. Again, we listen to everybody's feedback after the event and we try and implicate everything that we can the next year and learn from everything. We never stop learning. I will never classify myself as an expert in running awards shows. This will be my 15th awards show around the world, and I'm certainly not an expert. I have a very, very good take on how it should run, and I have a very, very good idea of problem solving within the whole realm of that. But I certainly would not classify myself as an expert. There's always things to learn. And I think the minute that you sit there and rest on your laurels or say, do you know what, I've got this down to a T, that's when things can go wrong, because I think you become a little bit complacent in your decision making and you say, well, no, I've not considered all the potential outcomes, so I'm just going to go with this because that's what I think I know. And I think that's where issues can happen.
I think it gets boring as well if you get complacent.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. If you're not being if you're not being challenged, then why do it?
If we go back to Fran of 10 years ago on that cruise ship, or how many years ago, I don't want to put your age out there. Let's say a few years ago. If we go back to you 10 years ago, you've been on an incredible journey, right? I mean, I started doing shows and I've migrated in the same industry to now selling equipment. You've come from not this industry to now being commercial director in this industry. What would you have told 18-year-old Fran now that would have helped you on that journey, do you think?
Another really good question.
It's roles reversed. You're usually interviewing, your team are usually interviewing me, right?
I know.
This is roles reversed.
I think don't be afraid of failure is a really, really big one. I think it's only a mistake if you don't learn something from it. If you learn something from it, it can't have been a mistake because it's bettered the person that you're going to be. So I think certainly don't be afraid of failure. Don't be too hard on yourself either. I think it's very easy to kind of come down on yourself like a ton of bricks when you've done something wrong or you've made a mistake. And I'm not saving lives here. we we do a very, very good job. But I say this to my team, it's not just something that I would say to myself 10 years ago. I say it to my team that are some are 10 years younger than I am. There's nothing that they can do that is so drastic that we can't fix. There is always a solution. And if they have done something that's drastic, then that's a completely different conversation. But
Yeah.
but honestly, if you're guided by doing the right thing, there's no mistake that you can make or issue that you can cause that cannot be fixed. And I'm very much a person that focuses on, let's find the solution. Let's not get hung up on the whys, the what's, the hows. Let's find the quickest solution, and then we'll have a look at what lessons we need to be learned from this. And I think I would absolutely give that advice to myself 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and just saying, don't be so hard on yourself. It's okay to fail. It's okay to start again. It's okay to throw yourself into something new, and keep going until you find the thing that you're passionate about. Keep going until you find the thing that you wake up and you love doing, because the cliche of you'll never work a day in your life when you're doing something you love. I'm not quite, I work very, very hard as do a lot of people.
Yeah.
but it makes it a lot more enjoyable. We have such a laugh in the office. We get on with each other. I've attended weddings, and we attend birthday parties, and we just try not to take ourselves too seriously. Life is too short. Life is too short to be waking up and going to a job that you hate. Life is too short to be waking up and just not finding at least one reason to smile in a day. And I think you'll know this from seeing me at trade shows and seeing me around. I'll always plaster a smile on my face, and it's not plastered. It's genuine, because I'm just genuinely happy to be here and be doing what I'm doing, and that passes on to other people. It passes on to the people that you meet. Yeah.
Whenever I know I've got a meeting with you, I'm always looking forward to it. Because I know
Thank you.
even if I but even if it's going to be, it's like, oh, I've got a meeting with Fran. Oh, that'll be right. Do you know what I mean? You can plan the day, because you come with so much energy and stuff like that, things like
Thank
that.
you. Definitely the energy is a big thing. I don't know how I pull it sometimes, but yeah.
I was going to say, you usually got energy at 3:00 in the morning and batters the evolution. So I have whatever you're having, right? So
it's usually a lot of prosecco bubbles.
Each their own. So obviously the podcast is called the Business Takeaway podcast. But what takeaway business sort of lessons do you? I mean, you said a few of them, right? But what sort of if you're giving that careers talk at your to Production Futures or old pupils, whatever, what do you sort of go back and say to them?
I think I probably have covered it probably a few times, but I have a bit of a mantra. Which is also one of my tattoos, one of my many, and it's better, not bitter. And it falls into personal life, it can fall into business, it can fall into anything, and it again sort of ties back with the nothing is a mistake unless you learn something from it.
Mm-hmm.
Life happens, life can throw you curveballs, and it can throw you curveballs in business, it can throw you curveballs in personal life. If you're going to sit and be bitter about it, then it's just, life's not going to get better. Don't be bitter, be better. And that for me is just something I apply not just in my personal life. I apply it in business as well. Some things just don't go the way that you want it to do. You don't always get a yes when you're asking for sales. You don't always get, things don't always go to print on time. That happens regularly. But we don't need to sit and play a blame game or anything like that. Let's just be better next time. Let's try and be better next time. Might not work. We might have a different issue, but let's learn again from that. That's my biggest thing.
And would you say that's your my next question is that your golden rule to live by?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think if you live each day with, wanting to treat people with kindness, with, putting other people before yourself, and what can you do for other people rather than looking internally into yourself, then I think you're on a right track. And that comes into business massively as well. If you are putting your clients, and this is whatever business you're in, if you're putting your clients, your end users, your customers first, then all of your decisions are going to be guided by that, and that is going to set you up for success. Because all of a sudden, if you just hone in on revenue and profitability, and then it's going to lead you down the wrong path. Put other people first, put your customer first, put your family, your friends, etc. Try and do a bit for someone else, and it will help you in the long run.
I was going to say something else, but I feel that's like its final deep things to end. But I think
that's been really deep. Actually, I wasn't expecting to.
I was just going to say we do a lot of stuff where we say think about the customer. What's the customer journey? Because otherwise you can get very, I've said it before on other episodes, but I work for a big corporate. You can get very tied into profitability and EBIT and what's the margin on this, what's that, and you don't actually think what's the best for the show. And it's a difficult world at times, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So we've ended on that. I have some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You have seen the rapid fire questions, I think. So you might have prepped them, which is the faux pas. I need to take that out of it. But let's do it. So
I'll still answer as if I haven't, so that's fine.
There we go. Fine. Let's pretend. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Twitter, LinkedIn. I keep on saying Twitter because I'm too old to call it X. But Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. What's your social media choice?
Instagram.
Beach or city break?
Beach.
Town or country?
Country. I'm from the north, come on.
That's towns and cities, right?
Yeah, but it's also the rolling hills and, the Greenlands and...
England's fine country.
Yeah, exactly. God's home county, I'm from Yorkshire.
Bit of Edwell or go walking over the moors and all that, right?
Yeah.
Travel first class or save the money? Yeah, now you're northern, so there's two answers here, right?
Well, the only answer could be if it's not my money, then definitely first class. But if it is my money, I'll
you're
save
northern.
it.
Yeah, there we go.
All with points. All with points.
Points mean prizes. Are you a morning or night person?
Again, I think you know this about me quite well, but I am actually both, which I think really annoys people because I will party all night long and I'll still be on the trade show floor at 9 o'clock in the morning, bounding full of energy, and probably still a little bit drunk maybe from the night before. But yeah, I'll let it carry me through.
Trust me, in 10 years' time, sorry to disappoint, it won't happen.
It won't last.
It won't last. I've been there. I used to be young. I was young once when that happens.
I'm going to take the morning and night whilst I still can.
Go for it. Exercise, is it important or not?
Absolutely important. I wish I did more of it, actually. But yes, very, very important.
Innovate or improve?
Innovate to improve. Let's not innovate for the sake of innovation. Let's have something that we're doing it for.
That's a cracking answer.
Yeah, thanks.
It's almost like
I saw these before.
Yeah, I know. I need to take them out. I need to take them out of the brief. Challenge the status quo or not to challenge?
Challenge the status quo. It's the only way that we can grow and, be more and improve.
And I'm standing at the bar at TPI at 3 o'clock in the morning. What is the drink before they shut? I'm buying you.
I'll take a bottle of Prosecco with a straw.
The biggest
magnum. I'll send you my table number beforehand. Just send it straight to the table.
Yeah, I'll just pay the bill on credit card. It's fine. Expenses. No. Thank you very much, Fran. It's been fantastic. We've gone down some routes I didn't necessarily expect to go down, so it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. And on behalf of the industry, I know we weren't going to make it too specific. Thank you for everything for the TBI Awards. They are a good event.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, it's fine. I've not remembered some TPI awards, but that's for another story, another day. But no, thank you very much. That's another podcast. Yeah, that's the unedited one. But no, thank you very much for joining today. And TPI Awards. We'll see you soon.
See you very soon. Thank you.